One of the most challenging aspects of being a teacher or instructor, regardless of the age you teach, is motivating students to engage meaningfully and deeply within course content. As a classroom and learning support teacher for 26 years in Surrey, British Columbia, and within my current role as Assistant Professor of Educational Psychology, I have focused my practice and research on understanding and supporting students' motivation. One of the most transformative periods of my development as a teacher happened when I began to understand and implement Deci and Ryan's self-determination motivation theory within my own practice. While there are many specific techniques for supporting motivation within the classroom, in my experience, I've found that by grounding my practice within the self-determination theory framework, a clear guideline is provided for me to ensure that students' motivational needs are met. So self-determination theory posits that there are three underlying needs for people's motivation, and these needs are autonomy, belonging, and competence, ABC, the ABCs of motivation. Autonomy is defined as the feeling that you are free to act according to your values and beliefs. Belonging is simply the sense that you are valued and respected amongst your peers and your social groups, and competence is the feeling that you will be able to succeed in tasks. There is a wealth of research indicating that if these three needs are fulfilled, people are more likely to meaningfully engage in tasks and experience better work and academic outcomes and greater feelings of well-being. So the question is, how can we support people's needs for autonomy, belonging, and competence within post-secondary settings? And I'll begin by discussing a few simple, quick practices that you can do in your classes to support motivation, and then follow up by a strategy that you can use across your term to support students' motivation in your courses. So let's start with a few quick and easy things to try in your classroom. So when you're designing your course, consider offering students flexible deadlines. Now, I know this makes people nervous because you're worried that you'll never get assignments in, but when I say flexible outlines, I simply mean providing some leeway on either side of a due date. Perhaps 5 days grace if assignments are late, and also let students know that they're willing to hand assignments or able to hand assignments in early. As an instructor, I found this very motivating for students as they can fit the assignments in around their busy lives. The quality work is always much better with a little extra time to finish work. And also as an instructor, it's much easier to face a few assignments coming in over the course of a week rather than 80 assignments arriving at one time. Another task that people can think about when they're designing their courses is to provide students with choice. And in this regard, I mean, let students maybe select their readings for 1 week or what they want to inquire about. It's quite an easy thing to do. And thirdly, shared readings are also very motivating for students. We often refer to these shared readings as jigsaw readings. So we assign students to small groups, and they work within their group to cover a series of readings, each student taking on a specific reading and then providing their group with information about that reading and perhaps a page of notes the following class. So these ways of supporting motivation support students' sense of autonomy by giving them the freedom to choose things that they are interested in, their sense of belonging, they have opportunities to share with their peers, and their sense of competence as they gather peers' input about readings and about their topics. Now, if you're looking at designing a motivating task across the term, I always have my students engage in inquiry. So, for example, students select an inquiry topic that they're interested in, but it also needs to be related to course key concepts. And within the assignment, students set their own learning goals and decide on the form of their final product. Students may wish to create a website, perhaps professional presentation, or maybe an academic paper. This freedom is important because it allows students to work within their strengths. However, it's very important to structure inquiry across the term. So I always provide a date when students need to bring their inquiry topic to the class and share it with at least 4 peers and make sure that they're receiving feedback, that the topic is suitable, that it relates to course content. Then in another class, I make sure that students are aware they need to bring an outline to class and a list of initial references. And again, they share this information with their peers and they receive feedback from their peers. Once they've had time to incorporate their peer feedback into their outlines, I give a soft deadline for students to hand in a draft of their proposals. And by handing in, I mean bringing that draft again to class, to have their peers, at least 4 peers, review the draft and again provide feedback to make sure that they're covering the information that we need to cover within the course. And that also they're getting writing tips during this time as well. After students have received information from their peers about how to improve their drafts, they're given a flexible deadline to hand in their final assignment. Within this assignment, all of students' self-determined motivation needs are met. They're provided with choice to support their autonomy, interactions with their peers to support their sense of belonging, and lots of supports for their sense of competence as they receive feedback from their peers and from their instructor over a long period of time. And I have found that this makes the quality of students' work much higher, and students are more willing to engage deeply and meaningfully within course content. For more information about inquiry, you may want to check out Halbert and Kaiser's book entitled Spirals of Inquiry. And for more information on self-determination theory, simply Google selfdeterminationtheory.org.